Hello there, and welcome to the Hawk Fanatic Prospect Podcast. I am your host, Rob Howe. What is today's date? The 12th, right?
Mm-hmm. May 12th.
May the 12th, a little bit before 6 p.m. Central Time here in Iowa City. I am happy to be joined today by, it's Heiden, right? I probably should have asked you this before we started recording.
Yep, Heiden.
Okay. Ava Heiden from Oregon. She is committed to the Iowa Hawkeyes in the 2024 class from Sherwood High School. I did look on the map to find out where Sherwood was. Is it
Mm-hmm.
considered Portland suburb?
Yeah, I'd say that. Sounds about right.
Okay. I
Yeah.
wasn't I wasn't sure if it was close enough because I look at some of the towns like when I'm doing interviews with kids maybe from Atlanta, and that's
Yep.
such a big metro area. Is Portland a pretty big metro area?
Um, yeah, it's a good size, but I don't know, we're like 45 minutes out. So
Okay.
it's not, kind of in the middle. A little bit of
Okay.
both.
Gotcha. Um, Wanted to catch people up with what you're doing now. This is like, for people that don't know, this is a pretty
Mhm.
big time of year for AAU basketball. And you're kind of in the heart of that right now, at least the May period before the July period.
Yeah, we're definitely ramping up. We already had our first two tournaments so far. But yeah, July is the big time for AAU. So we're working really hard, getting ready, practicing a lot, and just getting prepared for June and July.
What is the vibe like now that you're committed compared to maybe last year when you're out there trying to impress, the college coaches? Now you kind of know where you're going, so is it kind of where you can just play?
Yeah, it's like a big weight, is lifted off my shoulders. Like I'm so glad I committed early just because I have like a lot less kind of stress around the whole recruiting process. I don't really have to not worry about performing well, but I have the ability to just go out there and have fun. That's the main thing
Yeah.
about basketball that I love, is that's why I chose the sport, is because I love it. And so when I go out there now, I just look for, Abby's face or Jan's face in the crowd and just say hi and keep
Yeah.
playing. So
Um, let's go there and get to the point of how basketball became your sport. When you were young and getting into sports and activities, was it number one? What sports did you play? And then kind of when did you settle on basketball?
yeah, so I played a lot of sports growing up. I did softball, soccer, and basketball. My mom actually went to University of Michigan for softball. She was a pitcher,
Oh, cool.
so she taught me for a while when I was younger. But softball wasn't for me. It's almost too slow of a sport, Like I like to be a little faster, a little more exciting. So that kind of narrowed it down to soccer and basketball. And I played soccer up until freshman year of high school, actually. I was like a center striker for my whole career, and then I switched to goalie right at the end because the height helps with that a
Right,
little bit.
right.
um, but I knew basketball was it since like seventh or eighth grade, I think. That was about the time I got into club, and I met my club coach, Angie Sun and James Perchin, and they're just the best. Like they really grew me as a player, and they helped me find the love for it. And it's just ever since then, basketball was the way to go.
Have you stayed in the same club since you started?
Yeah, yeah.
That, that,
I'm glad I chose them because I mean, like they're the best I've ever seen, and just I'm glad I haven't had to move around. Just I found them early, and I was lucky for that. So
what is it about this sport that you know gets you excited, makes it fun? What is it about basketball?
um just I like it being a team sport just because you have a lot of friends on the team, but you learn so many things from that. Just, sportsmanship and working with other people. It's a lot more like life lessons, that really translate to, other parts of your life. And just I think it's such a interesting, I don't know, interesting sport. It's so fun to be a part of, and you play offense and defense, and just everyone is a part of the team, and everyone has to be working at all cylinders just to play well. And so I like that, I don't know, sense of camaraderie in sport.
It wasn't always where you got to play offense and defense in Iowa. They had 6-on-6. Has Jan ever told you about 6-on-6 basketball where you would play either offense or defense?
I haven't heard about that.
Yeah, you have to ask Jan about the 6-on-6
Okay.
history of women's or girls basketball in the state of Iowa. They switched it to 5-on-5. It really hasn't been that long ago, 70s or 80s maybe. So, um, yeah, maybe after that. So interesting dynamic and interesting way to play the sport. But
Yeah.
when did recruiting become a thing for you? When did you start to hear from schools?
Um, I'd say probably after like freshman year summer. So I guess going into sophomore year, I had probably like two or three kind of mid-major schools talking to me, but last summer was when it really picked up. After the first like spring tournaments, we went to Texas and let's see where else. I want to say like Ohio too. After that, I got a lot of texts and calls, and then June 1st happened, so then they could like text me directly and not go through the coaches. And but yeah, so sophomore year was the main like time for recruiting for me. And it's kind of weird to think that like I committed only like 6 months later in October, but I don't know. It's a quick process for me, but it felt like a long time.
Was it overwhelming when it all just kind of happened at once?
Yeah, I was. And I think that's good though, too, just learning how to manage that. But it was just such a cool opportunity. And so like that kind of outweighed it a little bit. So I would, go through that any day just to be able to talk to all the cool people I've talked to and settle on Iowa. So yeah.
What were the main schools like that maybe rose to the surface initially when you first started to research the possibilities and your opportunities?
Mm-hmm. Um, I well between like I had some Big Ten schools and a lot of Pac-12. But the main thing I was looking for was academics and a good basketball program, of course. But some of the schools I really liked were like Utah. I liked Oregon State a lot, but Michigan too. But Iowa was it was the best of both worlds. They have really good academics, good writing programs, and engineering, and all that. And then their basketball team is amazing too. But the main thing is the people that are there. So when I was, talking to them on the phone, there's a different feel with them that I just like I clicked with rather than other college coaches. And then when I went there in person, I knew for sure. Like the first night we went out to a steakhouse and ate, and I was like, okay, this is good. Like I like food. Food is the way to my heart. And so we went there. I was like, okay, this is a perfect start. And then just talking to the girls, and it's just is the place to be. And I loved it. And everyone was so nice. And I could totally see myself being a Hawkeye there. And the next day I already knew. But I didn't want to tell them. I'm like, let's wait this out, finish out my visits, and then then I committed.
So when did you visit Iowa, and you took visits after Iowa?
Yeah, so we already had a couple planned, um, but we took it in let's see August, I think.
Okay.
It was warm there, I remember. And I was like, this is humid. Like I'm not used to this.
Yeah.
But yeah, then we had a couple more after that I already had scheduled. And I'm like, I don't want to have any what ifs.
Right.
And so I went, and I had I think three more after that. And every time I was like, it's awesome school, but it's not Iowa. And so after that was done, I committed. Yeah.
So did you kind of know, like through the whole time as you were visiting schools, that this isn't as good as Iowa, and you're kind of were feeling that as you went through each visit?
Yeah, it was like I know everyone says it, but when you know, it was
Mhm.
like kind of like that. And so just every school, like they had awesome, facilities and people there too, and great academics and teams, but just it's the feel of Iowa that I loved. It's hard to explain, but that was the place for me. So
What what type of relationship have you been able to build with the staff, I guess, over what's been almost a year
yeah,
now? Going
yeah,
going on.
crazy.
Yeah, it's almost summer again.
Yeah. Just like everyone that I've talked to, Jan, Lisa, Abby, Raina, they're just also like down to earth. There's no real I don't have a better word to describe it, but like fakeness,
Yeah.
being fake. They they're so genuine and down to earth, and just being able to talk to them and talk about things outside of basketball, like life and school and things that interest me. And that's what I loved about it, is that like a lot of schools would focus solely on basketball, and it's kind of like, I'm more of a person than just how I play, right? And
Sure.
so being able to talk to them about that and them actually being interested in it was like a big thing for me. And so it's an awesome relationship that we have. And only talking in person a couple times, but over the phone for the most part, and still having that connection with them is just it's awesome.
You mentioned writing and engineering. Are those majors you're considering?
Yeah. So well, it changes like every week.
I
But
have a
when I
I have a
first,
se- I have a senior and a sophomore in high school right
oh
now,
yeah,
so we're going through
so
a lot of
how
this
it is. Yeah.
same stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I first, well, when I was visiting there, we visited the engineering program,
Mhm.
and because that's what I was interested in at the time. My mom was an engineer at Michigan, and so it's kind of like, I don't know. I wanted to follow her footsteps a little bit, but I don't know. I find so many new things every day that it's jumped from like astrophysicists to, well, I like environmental engineering right now. Like that's
Mhm.
something that's really interesting to me. Just I don't know. I can't decide. Once I get there, I'm gonna like switch my major like 5 times, but I'll find something. They got a lot of stuff there. So
Yes, a lot of
yeah,
opportunities and a lot of choices. So,
yeah.
um, all right, we're going to take a quick break here. Hear from a few of our sponsors. Want to let. So I saw there's not a lot, and hopefully the emergence of women's basketball that we've seen recently, and Caitlin having a big part of that, we get a little bit more exposure here. There are more rankings and things like that we have on the boys' side. But I did see ESPN. You are ranked 36th in the country. How do you view something like that when it's just kind of out there and you see your name on a list?
I mean, I try not to focus on that too much. It's kind of, everyone's got their own opinion and stuff about all the players, but I'm humbled to be on that list. Like it's such a cool opportunity, and just hoping to work my way up. But ultimately, again, it's about having fun, and so stuff like that is kind of like a cool accolade to have in my back pocket, but it's not the main reason why I play. So yeah.
What motivates you when you're on
Mm-hmm.
the court? What kind of gets you going? Is it the competition? Is it as simple as that?
I do like competing. It's such a fun game to play, and just I love winning, and I hate losing even more. And just being able to work hard for my coaches and my team, that's the fun part of it for me.
What's your game like? Is it compared to, is there anybody that we would know that it kind of compares to? We kind of gotten used to, we had Megan here and then Monica
Monica.
here and more kind of traditional post. Is that your game or are you more of a Hannah Stolke type or a
Let's see.
mix?
I'd probably be a little bit of a mix. I like running the floor a lot, which is why I like Iowa. It's an
Mhm.
awesome program, and we do similar stuff at Northwest Select, my club team, to what Iowa does. Um, but I love posting up, but I also love running the floor, and I'm expanding my game right now. So working on 3-point shooting and all that stuff, so I can come into Iowa having a good skill set. Um, but I'd say probably a mix. I'd probably be like a 5 or a 4 at Iowa, like that post or that power forward position. But I want to be versatile enough where I can play, wherever they need me.
Is that kind of the next step of development for you? Is that perimeter game, the face up all the way, and extend out to the 3-point line so you can have that versatility?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been working on it, especially this last high school season, until I sprained my ankle pretty bad.
Oh
I was out
no.
for a while. So that kind of threw a wrench in it, but I've been working on it still. And I think I've been doing pretty good. Like I have a pretty good shot form, I would say. And in practice, I've been taking shots like that and just getting it, I don't know, just like a little bit more into my toolbox so I can use it in games and club stuff like that. So, yeah.
What was it like for you being committed to Iowa and then watching the Hawkeyes this season experience the success that they did?
Mm-hmm. Um, well, I'm kind of glad I committed early. I don't want to sound like a bandwagon or anything.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's just I knew from a pretty early stage that Iowa was the place to be, and I didn't really care too much about where they were because I knew that they were on the rise. And they're such a good team anyway; they're going to be always pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But getting to the national championship, I was like rooting for them the whole time. And we had in my house, we had a couple friends over, and we were doing watch parties and stuff, and going to practice. And was like, "Oh, good job, Ava! I'm so proud of you." I'm like, I didn't do anything. Like, I'm not playing in those games. But it's so fun to have that community behind me. Just everyone's like in Sherwood now is kind of watching Iowa, and they're like so cool. And so just them, like I get to brag, I committed to Iowa, and so it's a pretty cool thing for me to experience, I think.
So you're expanding the Iowa brand on the West Coast. You're getting
Oh
it
yeah,
going out
oh
there.
yeah.
um, when you see the attention that the sport is gaining now, and it's more, we're getting more drama, even like they have in the Meds game, like with things that are not basketball related. So
Mm.
maybe that's a good thing, maybe not, but it has to be nice to see your sport growing while you're involved, and you're going to be a part of it.
Yeah, it's cool to see, and just all the people that have like helped make that happen. It's just it's cool for them too to see that. It's such it's so like awesome to see the sport growing, and it's expanding, and it's reaching people. And like, for example, I saw a post of Caitlin going to the University of Iowa Children's Hospital and just talking with those kids, and it's just things like that make it really cool. It's just such a fun experience, and to see people being able to do that with the sport is, that's a really cool part of it.
Do you see that too? I mean, I'm sure there are young girls that are in Sherwood that know who you are and look up to you. Do you kind of embrace that being a role model for younger kids?
Yeah, it's kind of weird, but I love it. It's like I never thought that I would be that type of person. Uh, but like during some of the Sherwood games, a couple girls would come up and take pictures with me, and they'd have their Iowa shirts on. I'm like, it's so cool. It's just like not like I'm inspiring these girls, but just being a part of the Iowa program is just there's such a reach with that. It's so cool to I don't know, just see how it connects to all the new generation and how it can like influence those guys and stuff like that. So
How big is it where you are? I mean, we have kind of a reference point to what high school sports and what the game is like here. What is it like where you are?
um I think it's probably a little less big out here. Um let's see, because I mean on the West Coast, girls basketball isn't as like I don't know, how would I say this? Like broadcasted. I don't know. It's just like it's not as talked about.
Mm-hmm.
But that's something that our club team's trying to fix. We're trying to bring new exposure, and all the other teams here like Northwest Blazers and Cal Stars are trying to bring like attention to the West Coast a little bit, just because we have a lot of good players over here, and hoping to get some more eyes on them. So, yeah.
You have another year of high school to get ready for this, but have you thought about being so far away from home in another year?
Yeah. So it's kind of funny when you're going through the process. You're like, it doesn't matter, right? But once you commit, you're like, oh, this is real. But I think for me, it's not as big of a deal because I have family out there. In Michigan, I've got my mom's side of the family and some of my dad's in Iowa. So if I ever do need anyone to, go back to, I can go to them and just it's a quick drive away. So it's not too bad. But yeah, it'll be kind of sad, like leaving my sister and my cats. It's like it's sad to think about, but it's so exciting, to imagine all the possibilities that's gonna come with flying out there. So I don't think it'll be too bad, and it's not too bad of a flight either. Like when we visited, we flew into Cedar Rapids and then just drove. So it's not too bad of a flight. So I'm fine with making that journey.
Did you say your dad is from Iowa?
Yeah, born and raised, and then he moved to Utah when he was a little bit older. Then he went to University of Utah too. But yeah, originally Iowa. So
do you have quite a few relatives still here, or just a smattering relatives? What type of support are you going to get when you get here?
Yeah, just a few. Some aunts and uncles. We don't go out there too much, but just like the support. They send little texts and like, so happy of us coming to Iowa. Like, let us know if she needs anything. That kind of support. So
Yeah, that's nice.
It's cool to see them out there. Yeah, doing that.
So have you gotten your mom to wear Iowa stuff now, being in Michigan, being a Wolverine?
Yeah, that was a little bit of a struggle, but we got her there. I think that her phone calls with Jan and Lisa too are just, she's like, oh yeah, I'll wear Iowa after that. Like she loves them. It's she'll wear both though. She'll have like a Michigan hat and like an Iowa shirt on. So I don't know. But yeah. She's like an Iowa too.
It's been a good series recently. The games have been really good between Iowa and Michigan and women's basketball.
Yeah, it's fun to watch.
Yeah. Want to let people get to know you a little bit. So we'll talk a little non-basketball stuff. What do you do? I mean, I know we took us a couple weeks to get this interview set up because you're busy. You got a lot going on, school, all that stuff. What do you do to unwind?
I love reading. So that's kind of my main thing. I don't have too much time to do it anymore.
Yeah.
But just like fantasy books, reading is like a great escape, and you get to learn so much about other things that you would never have learned otherwise. But I like to just sit outside. I guess I'll show you guys. I got like a couch over there.
Oh, that's nice.
And when it's nice out too, sitting in the sun, getting a little tan, that's kind of nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big. What do you do when you're not alone, when hanging out with friends, things like that? What are some of the fun activities you do with friends?
I'm kind of a nerd. I like to play a lot of video games. I beat Legends of Zelda on the Nintendo Switch.
Nice.
So
Congratulations.
I'm looking for a new game. Yeah, it was hard. It took a long time.
I bet.
There's this one level I was stuck on, like one of the divine beasts they're called. I could not get for like 2 months. And I was like just doing all the side quests. But I eventually got it. I had my sister help. So, I don't know if I completely got it by myself, but it counts. It counts.
Definitely counts.
But yeah, so stuff like that. Watching movies, like the movie marathon type of things are fun. But yeah, that's basically it.
You have a certain type. You mentioned fantasy book wise. Are there other? Do you do any nonfiction nonfiction? What type of movies, TV shows? Is there a kind of genre you're into?
I like sci-fi too. I don't know. I kind of like everything. Comedy movies are pretty fun with my family when I get a chance, like Ryan Reynolds movies.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'll tell you the story. So my coach, James Purchin, he recommended a movie called Step Brothers. Have you seen that? Yeah.
I have not. I know the movie you're referring
Okay.
to, but I have not seen it.
Okay. He's like, it's a comedy. Um, we're gonna watch it for family night. And we're like, okay, we're gonna rent it on Amazon Prime or something. And the only version that was there was the unrated version. So
Oh
we're like, oh,
no!
it can't be too bad. And we watched it and we were like, it's hilarious, but there's some stuff in there that's like a little suspicious. But
Stuff you
just stuff
don't want
like
to see
that.
with your parents, probably.
No. So it's funny movies like that. And it's even if it was unrated, that's the stuff you remember, like hanging out with your parents and watching that. It's like those are the memories you make with movies like that. So
How about food wise? And this will be a big change for you too, moving from where you are to where we are, steak land.
I'm excited for that. My dad loves to grill, so we have steak, we got chicken on the grill, shrimp, but just I love food. I don't know what else to say.
Do you
I
have
just
like a go-to? Like everybody has like go-to restaurants in their town,
pasta,
right? Where
anything pasta. So I like Olive Garden. There's this one called Pastini's that's really good. It's got like a shrimp pasta, so good. But carbs, it's probably not too good. Not when I'm older. I will have to
I'm
dial
with you.
back on that. But yeah, if I'm playing basketball, a couple of games a day, then I'll eat that.
What's your plans for the next year? Are you going to try take an official visit out here? And have you set that up yet?
Yeah, so not yet, but once things start to die down a little bit, I think we'll go out probably in the summer, we're thinking. Because right after school, we're taking a vacation, and then we'll do all our July tournaments, and then we can probably head out after that. But it's pretty busy. It's kind of hard to find a weekend where I can miss because I have a lot of schoolwork and stuff over the weekends I have to do. But it's hard to find a time to fly out there.
Be cool to come out for
endeavor,
come out for a football game and
Yeah.
experience a
So
football weekend out here.
yeah. It was funny because on my unofficial, I was talking to Jan and she's like, "What's your favorite song or genre?" And I said, AC/DC. Back in Black was my favorite song at the time. And she's like, "You got to come to a football game because every time they come out, they're playing Back in Black." And I was like, "It's perfect." And she's like, "It's a sign." I'm like, "Oh yeah, it is."
It was
So
meant to be.
Experience that. Mm-hmm.
It was meant to be, no doubt.
Yes.
Well, we're glad you decided to become a Hawkeye, and we look forward to when you get out here. But we want you not to speed up your life and enjoy high school and AAU basketball and your senior year and things like that. And what would you? I always give you guys a chance to say, what would you like to tell Hawkeye fans?
Just you guys are awesome. All the support that I've been given since I committed is crazy. Just the fan base is amazing, and there's such good people out there. And I'm so glad I'm going to be able to represent the state of Iowa.
And they're going to be glad to have you. And I would recommend, if you're listening to the podcast, to go find some video of Ava playing, and that will get you more excited for the time when she is able to get here. And who knows? Maybe Caitlin Clark will stay that extra year for a. You could talk her into that, but please. We really appreciate you taking time for us, Ava, and have a great rest of your school year and rest of your summer. And we'll catch up to you down the road.
Awesome. Thank you, Rob. Have a nice day.
Thank you. You too.